So why don't you try doing something else? Maybe you could stick to Comic Con, do all that kind of thing.
What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So guys, channel membership is now live. Link is in the description and the first comment. Do check it out. That would really help support the channel. So let's start this video with Sasan Hadi. So him pouring 200 grams of honey over his meals just 2 weeks out of his next show. That is gonna become a joke, especially among his fans. So talk about having the craziest Persian genetics. Here is Sasan giving us a sneak peek of how his conditioning looks 2 weeks out of this upcoming New York Pro. So the man is well on his way to be one of the most right guys on the stage at this upcoming New York Pro. And him jumping into the New York Pro, knowing that this is probably gonna be one of the hottest shows of the year. That just goes to show us how confident he is right now. So Sas has to face a guy like William Bonac here, who by the way beat him, and I'm gonna say pretty convincingly, at this year's Detroit Pro. And that was just a few weeks back. And that is just one of the many guys, many great bodybuilders, who are gonna be on that New York Pro stage. So Sasan here most likely gonna be a lot bigger and harder, with maybe that same condition that he brought to the stage in the last 2 shows. And him losing FIBA Germany to Andrew Jacked, that must have been a very hard pill to swallow, since he was ahead of Andrew Jacked. After the prejudging, now in all honesty, I do not see him beating a guy like Michael Krizo, because the size difference between these two guys, that is just so immense. And Krizo is gonna be as shredded as Sasan, if I'm gonna say not more. And we have a guy like Regan Grimes in there as well. So whatever the results are gonna be for this upcoming show, I for one am very excited to see Sasan with guys like Regan Grimes, whom he have never stood next to at any point during his pro career. Now, even though I do not think that Sasan is gonna win this upcoming New York Pro, but I do believe that he's gonna eventually win his first pro show this year and qualify for his first ever Miss Olympia. But the New York Pro, that looks kinda tough. But do let me know, what do you guys think? Next up, we have the off-season physique update from Rafael Brandau. So the man just blew back up in no time and so damn fast. And this is just after 3 weeks of him upping the food and finding that right combination. And the man is already back to his normal size and the normal off-season food that he normally eats in order to get bigger, to grow. Now it is so crazy how round and symmetrical Rafael can look at any point during his off-season, just because he has such a tiny waistline and such great classic lines overall. He is without any shadow of a doubt one of the most aesthetic guy in the men's open. So the biggest reason why Rafael Brandau hasn't been able to put on muscle as fast as someone like Nick Walker or Hunter or Samson, that is definitely because of his genetic aspects. So for those of you guys who do not know, he was a very small guy when he turned pro. In fact, that 2017 San Marino look, that could have done really well in classic physique division. And the other big reason of him growing very slow and putting on muscle at a very slow pace over the years is that he just did not want to ruin his waistline. He wanted to keep all of his aesthetics while getting bigger. And Rafael's aesthetics, that's something that makes him such a special athlete. So we do not know how long it's gonna take for him to put on another 10 pounds of solid lean muscle tissue on his frame, because this is more or less what he needs in order to beat some of these top guys in that Olympia top 5. So whenever that happens, Brandau will become one of the most dangerous guy in the first Olympia call-out. So that Arnold, Ohio look from last year, that was a pretty good standard, I'm gonna say gold standard, for Rafael Brandau. And that is the one show which truly showed his real potential. And remember, he was standing next to 2 Olympia champions, Samson Dauda and Hadi Chopan. So the great thing for Rafael Brandau is that he is just 31 years old. So the man is about to enter his prime years now, and he still has got a lot of time on his hands. Next up, we have the physique update from James Hollings. Now I am pretty sure that it's safe to say that he's done with the season after doing those 2 shows this year, the Arnold, Ohio and Detroit Pro. And the man was just unable to live up to his own expectations. So he took that 1 year off and he dropped down in placings at the Arnold. And his ultimate goal, that was to win a pro show and get back to that Miss Olympia stage. And that obviously wasn't fulfilled. Now just because I read some comments on my own channel regarding James, and the most brutal ones, they were advising him to retire. And that kind of got to James. and the man spoke his heart out in the bodybuilding and the bollocks.
You're either too big and not conditioned enough, or you're too small and in condition. So why don't you try doing something else? Maybe you'd stick to Comic-Con, do all that kind of thing. And I'm like,
and the man has got a very reasonable explanation on why he will continue to pursue professional bodybuilding. So most of these IFBB pros, they just do not have the genetics to be top 10 in the world. And looking at the can lineup, it's highly unlikely that James can crack top 10. And that is no disrespect towards him or anything like that. It's just that the guys at the top level, the guys that is battling it out, they are just put together so damn well and way better than him. And they have less weaknesses than James. But that doesn't mean that he should retire. So why he would continue to compete? Well, first of all, he's paid to do that. This is how he earns his living. And even though he isn't winning any shows, but the man has got multiple sponsors. And the man makes a good living through bodybuilding. And it is because of him being a professional bodybuilder that he can guest pose and make money that way as well. And James is one of those guys who does a lot of guest posing. And lastly, because of the love for the sport and the love of training. So hopefully this would give people more clarity who were telling him to retire, which was totally uncalled for.
I've got something to gear towards, because you've just said that I need to be bigger with better conditions. So that for me is an aim. And then I'm also like, if I listen to the amount of people that told me to stop or do something else, it started way back in my teens. I would have got nowhere. Like my own gym owner, Fuad, gave up on me when 1 year I did the British and I didn't place.
Next up, we have the physique update from Branch Chen, the classic physique store, with probably one of the craziest legs in that entire division. And judging by how lean he is looking right now, it seems like he's prepping for a show. So when he took to the Olympia stage for the very first time, back in 2019, we all knew his star is born, because the man just looks so damn classic, especially when he hits that crucifix pose. He checks all the boxes to be called truly classic from the front. But unfortunately, his career could not take off after 2019, because while the rest of the division that evolved extremely fast with all this new talent and those new genetic freaks coming out of the woodwork every single year, and Sasan Ramon, they are also one of them. A Branch, on the other hand, his physique did not improve that much, especially from the back. The discrepancy between his front and his back, that is simply impossible to ignore. And from being top 5 in the world in 2019 at his Olympia debut, he could not even place last year at the Olympia. So his overall condition, that is also far behind if you compare that to the top guys, to the top classic physique pros. And maybe he should also start working with a guy like Patrick Tour, because up until the Arnold this year, Logan Franklin was also lacking that elite level of conditioning. And what he presented at this past Arnold, Ohio, when he finally unlocked that whole new level, he not only got rewarded, but the fans out there, they had him beating a guy like Mike Sommerfeld. So ever since Classic Physique Division was created, Branch has to be among the most beautiful physiques to have graced that Olympia stage. But in order for him to get into that top 10, he needs to bring something extraordinary. So how serious is Ramon Dino to redeem himself at this year's Miss Olympia? Well, he's practicing posing for the upcoming Pittsburgh Pro. And for those of you guys who do not know, he's gonna be guest posing there. And he's gonna have this opportunity to stand next to Mike Sommerfeld, who is like the frontrunner to win that Classic Physique Olympia title this year. And we all know posing is something that Ramon desperately needs to work on, especially after last year's big show. So Ramon just wasn't on the way he normally is last year. And that too in all the 3 shows that he did. Because here is a comparison of him posing at Miss Olympia back in 2023 versus Mike from last year. Both at their very best. And although Mike's side chest, that is off the charts because of the density on the side leg and the chest depth, that is also superb. But Ramon does compare extremely well in that front double biceps. Now from the back, it's Mike all day. So I do not think there is anyone who has such a well-built back in that entire Classic Physique division right now, as Mike does. So Ramon Dino certainly needs to catch up in that area. But the abs and thigh shot, that looks pretty damn close. Now Ramon doesn't have the biggest quad sweep, but he has the best abs in Classic Physique division right now. Now we like the fact that Ramon is investing into posing so early in the season. So Chris Aceto and Ramon, they have to work out their magic to present something very special. Now the man looks way too lean at the moment, and he somehow needs to lose as little muscle as humanly possible and make that weight cut off as well. So hit the thumbs up button if you like the video and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.